Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a story titled, So My Now Ex-Girlfriend Cheated on Me and Wants to Be Friends. And guys, this story I'm going to go over here, it is a classic example of what happens when a guy is too nice and puts a girl on a pedestal, and when she starts pulling bullshit, what happens when you don't stand up for yourself and you let her get away with it, and how it'll just get worse and worse and worse. And it also goes into what happens when you don't trust your gut when you know something's wrong, and of course stand up for yourself, and also what happens when you put yourself last. Because in this guy's story, this guy, he gets his girlfriend pregnant and has the baby, and they get together, and he thinks she's wonderful, and meanwhile all these red flags start happening over the course of a few years, which eventually leads to her cheating on him, like the title. And guess what? She still wants to be friends. I mean, it's unbelievable the crap she does to him, and the lying and all the cheating and all that. And you got to feel bad for the guy in one sense, but also you also want to slap him upside the head, because so many things happen that because the guy is so nice. And this type of situation, this story, this story is definitely a more extreme case of how bad it can get. I haven't heard something this bad in a while. But guys they're too nice and they get taken advantage of. And as I've said before, when women sense a weakness in a man, a guy they're dating, or especially in a relationship, they're going to test more. And women want a guy that's strong, that's going to stand up to them and not tolerate their crap. Because if they tolerate their crap, typical woman is going to pull more crap and keep testing and testing until the guy either A, he lays down the law and she cuts the crap and starts to respect him again. B, he walks. Or C, she usually cheats on him and dumps him. And option C is what happens in this story, as you're going to see here. So definitely pay attention, guys. It's something really to listen to and learn from. Learn from this guy's bad experience and all his mistakes. So the article starts off saying, Sorry for the long, incoherent post. English is not my first language, and I'm on mobile. And honestly, it's kind of therapeutic to write it all. So sometimes my thoughts are just unfiltered from thought to paper. The title is the gist of my problem, and if it was just that, the answer would be obvious. But we have a 2-year-old son together. So the story is this. We've been together for a little over 5 years. We met in college, we both studied there. But I dropped out to get a job when I realized I really didn't want to spend the rest of my life in an office. Almost 3.5 years ago, my ex got pregnant, and we were both overjoyed. Our sex life tapered off during the pregnancy because she said she wasn't comfortable in her body anymore. And it didn't pick up after our son was born because she said she was afraid of getting pregnant again, even though we used protection, of course. So, red flag number 1. She gets pregnant. Okay, and notice he doesn't question if that child is actually his. Given the story we're about to hear, I certainly would. But putting that aside, she gets pregnant. Doesn't want to have sex during the pregnancy, which, I could certainly understand that. But afterwards, she doesn't want to have sex anymore, or at least very often, because she's worried about getting pregnant again, even though they're using protection. That says something. Something's definitely up there. But this guy doesn't trust his gut, and the problems continue, as you're going to see. Always trust your gut, guys. When our son was born, we decided she would be a stay-at-home mom and I would support us. Who decided that really? Did we decide that she was going to stay at home and he would do all the work, or did she? I'm guessing she decided that and convinced him, so that therefore he thought we decided that. Pointing that out. That's another one. At the same time, she always wanted to build a house herself. So we saved money for all that as well. I got a job as a dock worker, which meant I made a lot of money, but I had long hours, and overtime was mostly warned on the same day. So I worked a lot. Normally around 50 hours a week, but sometimes as much as 70. 70 is a lot of hours. This guy, he's really working hard to take care of his family. He's working hard to be a good provider, and that's cool. The problem is that, as we're going to find out, this woman is milking it for everything it's worth. And this poor bastard is just so naive and so nice and so giving, he's taken advantage of. When our son was 1, we moved across the country to be closer to her family. And he says, we're in Denmark, so it's not as far as it sounds. And started building the house. Or I did. After we moved, I got an apprenticeship as a carpenter, which I still love. But it meant that I was the one doing the lion's share of the work in this house. And I did it mostly during my free time while working a full-time job. We still weren't intimate very often because she said she was still afraid of getting pregnant. Bullshit. So he's not getting much sex, and if he does, I guarantee it's probably the most boring kind known to man. He's busting his butt at work, working 50 to 70 hours a week, and in his spare time, not that he has much, he's working on building this house her dream house. See how this guy is doing all this stuff, putting everybody else first instead of him? And I respect he's trying to take care of his family, but what is she doing? What's he getting out of this from her? Not a whole hell of a lot. But guys are so conditioned that we got to be so nice. We got to be so accommodating. We got to put the woman on the pedestal and treat her like the queen, even though she could treat us like crap. See what I'm talking about, guys? Fast forward to this summer, our son is 2.5 years old and goes to kindergarten. At 2.5. And she gets a job. We're both really excited. Both because she was beginning to get cabin fever and because it would be nice to have a little extra money. Well, at work, she meets this guy. She starts going out drinking with coworkers after they get off. It's fine. She needs to get out, and I support her and tell her it's fine, and it really is. Okay, so she gets a job. That's good. She's making some friends with the coworkers. That's okay, because, look, if you're going to do a relationship, guys, because I know plenty of you guys do it or want it, if you're going to make it work, you got to have time for you and you got to have time for her, okay? The problem is that if she's not a loyal woman, if she's deceitful and devious and a liar, though her spending time with other people, you have to worry that they're going to rub off on her, like especially if they're the wrong kind of friends, and that could then cause all sorts of problems, which this is going to happen. But again, this guy's a good, nice guy. He's trying to be trusting and say, hey, that's great, babe. Go out and hang out with your coworkers. Unfortunately, you're going to see what happens and goes wrong here. Now here is where it gets interesting. He says, but I get suspicious. She comes home and tells me she's getting messages from this guy and how funny he is. At the same time, she is working a lot, so I almost never see her, and I'm at home taking care of our son and all the housework. He's doing all the work, working all the time, 50, 70 hours a week. He's building the house, taking care of the kid, doing all the housework. And yes, she's working, but she's out partying and having fun. And now she's talking about this guy all of a sudden. Okay? Guys, when a woman just out of nowhere brings up another guy, that's telling you something. Usually in the beginning, that's her telling you this is your replacement if you don't stop fucking up. Whatever in her mind you're doing wrong. And oftentimes that's a situation where the guy's only paying attention to her or taking her out and courting her and all that. I know we're getting into relationship talk for a split second here, guys, but usually that's the case. But eventually, it's usually something even worse, okay? And by the way, guys, this is the reason why women, your girlfriends, get so annoyed if you, God forbid, ever bring up another woman. Even if it's just a casual conversation about someone that is a coworker or something like that and you meant nothing by it, this is why they get so worked up. Because in their mind, they're thinking, what's going on with this girl? Is something up with this girl? Do you like this girl? Because that's what women do when they like a guy, or they're trying to tell the guy they're with, hey, you bet I'm bringing up this guy. This guy could be your replacement if you don't stop screwing up, or whatever it happens to be. Just a little tip there. It all comes to a head in late August. I've been telling her for a couple of weeks that I'm worried about this guy and that I feel that we're drifting apart. Does that sound very masculine to you guys? Telling your lady, I'm worried about this guy and I feel like we're drifting apart. That sounds more like something that you would hear out of a whiny woman. If this guy has issues with this guy, I can't quite remember this is a coworker of hers or just some dude she met. This guy's got to lay down the law right then and there and say, It's one thing if it's your coworker at work and you're talking about a work matter, but if you're getting all these messages from this guy, that's a problem. Not going to happen here, sweetheart, or you're out. But this guy doesn't do this. He doesn't lay down the law, and his gut is right, as you're going to see. She tells me to stop being paranoid, and I'm just an idiot for not supporting her going out more, and that I just want her to stay home. That's real sweet and loving of her, of all the good things he's been doing for her, and she's calling him an idiot because, he's in a very weak way. He's trying to call her on this, but he's not acting like a man about it. He's being a pussy about it. And I don't mean to be a dick, I don't mean to sound nasty to the guy, but that's what's going on. I tell her that I just want to see her and be a couple, and that I'd really like to go out with her as well. So it sounds like they're not doing anything. They're just, living as roommates, and he's providing and doing all the work, and she's kicking back and enjoying it all. She works late Thursday and Friday, and afterward goes for drinks with her coworkers. Saturday, she has a work party for all the departments at her store, and Sunday, she still works till 5 again. After our son is put to bed, she goes for a walk with our dog. She leaves around 7:15 p.m. I text with her when she's walking, and all seems good. And then she stops answering around 8:15. And I am worried, texting her if she is all right, because she is usually afraid of the dark. What a load of crap. No answer. When she gets back at around 10:30 p.m., she just goes to bed and says she's tired. That's a long walk from 7:15 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. and it was radio silence for 2 hours. What do you think is going on here? I mean, come on. I then see her phone light up with a snap from this guy at work. Oh, big surprise. I let my curiosity get the better of me and open it. He says, "It was really nice to see you," with a bunch of hearts. I am pissed. She's already asleep, so I go on a long walk, get drunk, and sleep on the couch. The next morning, I confront her, and she still claims he's just a friend. I semi-believe her, but there's nothing I can really do about it. But I'm really stressed about it. So, she goes for this long walk. He knows something's up. He checks her phone and sees it's from this dude saying that it was really good to see her. So she was out meeting the guy, and he doesn't call her on this. He doesn't say, "Hey, you were out with this guy, you're lying to me, you're cheating on me, get the hell out." Or at least, something along those lines. And he confronts her, but she says he's just a friend, which obviously is bullshit. And he says he semi-believes her, and there's nothing he can really do about it. Bullshit. But guys, you see what I'm talking about here? How weak he's acting, and see how this is getting worse and worse? You got to stand up for yourself, or otherwise, more and more you'll be taken advantage of. I cannot stress that enough. What follows is the second worst week of my life. Monday, she is out for drinks with her coworkers again. Tuesday, we fight because I say I'm really worried and I just want to see her, and she tells me to stop being paranoid again. This guy, when he does bring it up, and at least he does bring it up, but he handles it all the wrong way. He acts like a whiny woman instead of laying down the law with her. At this point, I'm really doubting if what she says is true, and that I'm just jealous and possessive. Wednesday is all right. I make a nice dinner with some wine, and we play board games, and after our son is asleep. She just really isn't into it and doesn't really try to participate in our conversation, claiming she is tired. Thursday, she is out for drinks again, and Friday, me and my son are going to my parents for the weekend. She can't come because she has another work party on Saturday, this time for her department. On Friday, she didn't want to walk the 10 minutes to the train to see us off, something she always does, despite not having neither of us for most of the previous week. This week, I hardly sleep and eat because I'm so stressed out. I start smoking again, and it's just all around mess. Nobody's going to have that many meetings at work, parties, and out for drinks and all that. Come on here. I mean, again, on the one hand, I feel bad for the guy because you can see he's a good guy. He's trying. He's doing what he thinks is right. On the other hand, he's just so naive and he's so weak and he won't stand up for himself. Here we go, guys. So, she has made plans with this guy, both Friday evening and Saturday. She's making plans with this guy. She has a husband. He's not her husband, he's her boyfriend. But she's making plans with this guy to go out at night. She tells me this, and I say okay to this, to not seem possessive. I just tell her I don't want him staying the night. She says she's okay with this, and we leave. Friday night, I say goodnight to her around 11 o'clock at night and ask if he is still there. He is. Big surprise. So I really don't get much sleep that night either. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning and see on the Snapchat map that she hasn't been snapping anyone since I talked to her last night. And they always snap each other good night. They always, so this, she's making plans with this guy while this guy who's telling the story is gone. And he says he's okay with that, so he doesn't seem possessive. Are you kidding me, dude? Come on. And he says about they always say goodnight to each other. So I freak out, take my parents' car, and race home in record time. And lo and behold, there he is, sitting on my bed. Is anybody shocked to hear this? I'm not shocked. She says nothing happened. That he didn't want to go home even after she said he had to. And they had just slept, nothing more. I don't really believe her, but after a long fight, I go home to my parents again since our son is still there. I tell her to text me in the evening when she's going home after the party. But around 11:30, she calls me and tells me her phone is out of power and that she is going home soon. So I tell her to call me when she gets home and it gets in the charger. She doesn't. So the next morning, I call her every 10 minutes until her phone gets turned on, and then I video call her. She is not at home. Gee, I wonder where she is. When I get home Sunday evening, she admits to cheating. Big fucking surprise. He tried to kiss her after the party, the Saturday before, but she turned him away. She did kiss him on the walk on that Sunday evening, and every day at work, and when she was out for drinks the whole week. I am crushed and pissed. There is no yelling because I am so fucking exhausted and crushed. We have been together for 5 years, have a son together, we're building a house together, and she wants to throw it all away for a guy she has known for a little over a month and a half. It's really unfortunate, but how many of you guys have heard stories along these lines, right? The guy does, in his mind, we think everything is right, he's supportive, works hard, does all these things to make her life easy, and meanwhile she's ungrateful, she's lying, she's cheating, and all that. You know? But guys, this is what happens when you don't stand up for yourself, when you don't trust your gut, you don't stand up for yourself, you don't draw a line in the sand and put yourself last. This kind of crap is happening. This is an extreme case, of course, but this is a very good lesson, not just for relationships with women, but for life. You don't take shit from anybody, you always stand up for yourself. Otherwise, you'll be taken advantage of. I tell her I'm willing to move past this and try to repair our relationship for our son's sake and mine. I really do still love her. God, this guy, he needs a mentor. This guy, first of all, this guy needs a good slap in the face. Then he needs a good solid mentor to tell him what the hell he's doing wrong, because good Lord, guys. She says she fell out of love with me even before we had our son and just stayed with me because it was safe and I provided for her. Ding, ding, ding. There you go, guys. So as stupid as I am, she gets the week to decide. Bullshit. I would say, well, first of all, once she admitted to cheating, she's done. Okay? You'll figure out how to handle with raising the child and all that, but she's done. Out. Okay? There certainly is no week to decide. If there's any decision making, it's done right there. But again, you see how this guy's so nice and accommodating, and he obviously feels like he's doing this for his son, but no. It can be, people get split up all the time and have children and make it arrangements. But this gets worse, guys. I'm not even done yet. Goes on. This is then the worst week of my life. I bend over backwards to juggle my job, our son, all housework, and try to make it perfect for when she gets home, to show her how much our relationship means to me. All the while, I'm barely eating or sleeping. This guy still doesn't get it. You see that he says here he's bending over backwards to do all these things just to show her how much he cares and show her how much the relationship means to him. Do you think she gives a shit? This guy's been doing all that forever, and she's lost all respect for him a long time ago. And she told him that she fell out of love with him even before the child was born, and yet he thinks that she's going to change. Come on, dude. And here we go. Guess what happens next? And she decides to go with the other guy. We're in mid-September by this point and still living together. So he hasn't booted her out. Or at least he hasn't left and found some other place. So now that she is broken up with me, she goes out every night that she can with this guy. We decide to split custody of our son equally so that we each have a week to be responsible with being home in the evening with him. And she takes him to kindergarten and I pick him up. But when I'm out, she has this effing guy come over and they're having sex everywhere in our apartment. I haven't sat in my own couch or slept in my own bed for 3 weeks because they have had sex in it. And I can't stand the thought of even touching them. So this guy, they're still living together, and this guy's coming over there when the guy's out and banging his ex-girlfriend, his baby mama, on his bed, on his couch. You think this girl respects him in any way, shape, or form? No way. This guy, oh my God, this guy needs to get out of there and get his own place or kick her out, depending, of course, on the laws of the country that he's in. Maybe he can't just kick her out, but if he can kick her out, he needs to kick her out and have custody of the son. Or at the very least, he moves out so he can have furniture that he can sit on and not feel like crap about because they're banging on it. Good Lord. I feel like she has no respect for me, I feel. Really? I feel so disgusting for even being in the apartment and so devastated thinking about the woman I love. And I still do love her in some way. Jesus, dude. Just being with this other guy all around my home. She's pretty sure she's pregnant with his child because they've been having unprotected sex all this time. So notice that he says, I don't know how he knows this, but regardless, she's having unprotected sex with this guy. Meanwhile, back years ago, she didn't want to have sex with this guy, even using protection because she's worried about getting pregnant. Again, we saw that was all bullshit. We knew it from the get-go, but still. Here we go. So finally, my question, she hurt me. She hurt me bad. Not just the cheating, but the fact that she continued the relationship for 3 years without ever communicating to me that she was missing something. The fact that I moved away from all my family and friends for her sake. The fact that I spent all my hard-earned savings on a house that I will never live in. The fact that I missed out on a large part of my son's life to make sure the dreams we had could come true. And after all this, she wants us to be friends. Of course she does, because that way she can keep getting stuff out of this guy. And she, in her mind, this guy's so weak and naive that he'll go along with this because she knows he's in love with her. And she'll just keep mooching away. She says I'm her best friend and that she doesn't want to lose me. What a load of bullshit. But I can't stand the thought that she can treat me like this and do it without any consequences. Well, dude, this guy never gave her any consequences. He invited her to treat him like this. He kept allowing this crap to go on. But we have to stay friends, right? We have a son together, and we need to work together for his sake, so that he has the best possible life. And I want him to have that. It's the most important thing. I just don't know how to reconcile these two feelings. I'm moving out in 4 days, and I'm hoping some distance and time will help. Well, finally, this guy's getting somewhat of a clue. He's getting the hell out of there. I mean, again, I don't know the laws in this country with regards to the situation, but it sounds like, obviously, she's going to get the house, even though he was working all those years, busting his ass on the job, with overtime and all that, building the house. Meanwhile, she sat around, did nothing, until obviously it was built. Then she got a job and found a lover and all that. But the idea that they got to be friends, no, they don't. This guy needs a good lawyer and do whatever he can, depending on the laws of the land, that if they got to join custody, fine. He doesn't be friends with her. Why would everyone be friends with her? But this poor guy, I mean, I say poor guy because, I mean, I do kind of feel bad for him, but also, my God, this guy really needs a good slap in the head and somebody to really look at his situation and tell him directly how he screwed up and then how he can better improve his life and not let this type of crap ever happen again. And it finishes up, guys, with a little update, a little quick one. And he says, just to answer a few points that came up often in the comments. Because this guy posted this story on Reddit. And as you can imagine, got plenty of comments. He says, we don't actually live in the house we built because we're still building it. It's just been insulated. So there are no vapor barriers or actual inner walls yet. I'm leaving the apartment we share because I can't stand being here. Everywhere I go, I see her and him, and that wouldn't change if she moved. And I know I need to grow a pair. Well, at least he learned. I've known that for a while now. I just think that I've been so scared of her ending the relationship every time I stood up to her, but that I forgot it was an option. And I know that it in itself is pathetic. But if you've ever loved a woman, the mother of your child, the way I did, and had her threaten to leave whenever she was angry, it's hard to stay strong. Well, plenty of guys have definitely been in love with a woman and fearful that she'd leave, but What has that fear gotten this guy or any other guy in a situation like that? Nothing. Worse treatment. This is why, guys, you got to love yourself, okay? You got to put yourself first, because if you don't, look what happens. This is an extreme case, but you see what happens here. If that guy truly loved himself and put himself first, now obviously he's going to put his son up there with himself being first, a lot of this shit wouldn't have happened. I mean, obviously this woman is a liar and she's deceptive and all that, you know, and not worth at all being in any kind of relationship with, other than the fact that they share the son together and have to obviously be somewhat civil for the child's benefit. But this guy needs to really learn to stand up for himself when anybody mistreats him, to trust his gut, to start putting himself first, because nobody else is going to do it, and never tolerate any kind of bullshit from anybody, and of course women. Otherwise, this will happen again. That's the advice I give him. I tell him to get the hell out of there, get a good lawyer, get the terms right, you know, and just suck it up. The last few years have sucked, but he at least can restart his life, because this guy's obviously a hard worker. So if he lives on his own, and obviously she's going to get that place and obviously get alimony and child support and all that shit, but this guy's a hard worker. At the very least, we know this guy can bust his ass to start over, save money, build some wealth, and hopefully, you know, have a good relationship with his son. And if he ever gets another relationship again, doesn't make these type of mistakes a second time, because guarantee the same thing will happen. So, but anyhow, guys, I shared that story just again to show you the extreme case of what can happen when you don't trust your gut, don't stand up for yourself and lay down the law, and also when you don't put yourself first. So it's unfortunate, but that's what happened. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this, and be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.